Question 9, model answer. Reasonably straightforward essay. Most people got the idea and just let down with the theory that they produced. So we have got the coyote, the wolf and the dingo. Coyote, the wolf and the dingo. And two other jackals. It does say mating experiments. It doesn't give any more detail than that. I'd prefer it if it was mating experiments and they produced fertile offspring. That'd be more useful. Anyway, we can probably presume they were successfully mating experiments. And the data that we've got here, most people were able to identify this. So the coyote, the wolf and the dingo were one of the species. They're all one species because they can all interbreed and produce fertile offspring. So you needed that explanation in your answer. And then these guys cannot interbreed with either of the jackals, and the jackals themselves can't interbreed with the other type of jackal. So there's 3 species. So the first area that we're talking about is species. I'm just going to draw a plan for this essay, not actually write the essay. So species, we need definition. Then the answer to the thing is 3 species. Identify what you've got. So you've got the coyote, the wolf and the dingo, and then you've got the black-backed jackal and the side-striped jackal. And when you're talking about species, so you can give the evidence from the diagram. So evidence from the table. Some of you came up with some evidence from the diagram. I'm not quite sure we can see that many differences, but that was good that you were looking for morphological similarities and so on. And you could also maybe talk about common ancestors. Whether the coyote, the wolf and the dingo had a more recent common ancestor than they do with the jackals. So, talking about recent common ancestors and making comparisons. So that was one area. The second area is answering the question, suggest how the different species could have arisen. And this is natural selection, evolution and natural selection. And then we can split that up into our two ways that can happen, either geographical isolation or reproductive isolation with their proper names. So we're looking for natural selection, and then we can, so when you are talking about natural selection, doesn't matter whether you're talking about the sympatric or the allopatric, you're looking for mutations. These lead to variation. And then some organisms will have a selective advantage. And those will survive, reproduce, pass on favourable alleles, and that leads to a change in the gene pool or allele frequencies. Not many people mentioned alleles, lots of mentioned genes, but not many of alleles. And then eventually they are isolated, so they can't reproduce. Isolated reproductively, so can't interbreed either because their morphology has changed, so changed morphology. So that's the normal sort of natural selection. There's more things you can say there from your notes. I've summarised the main points, but you could give that in a lot of detail. You could dump all of your natural selection knowledge. And in here, we're talking about the two types. So all of this nicely links to geographical isolation or allopatric speciation. So most people have sort of given this stuff together.